Hi, this is Victoria Longo with this week's Friday at 5, and this week is all about feeling guilty. All right, this is something that I recently experienced. Don't know if any of you ever feel this way, but I actually kind of forgot what the feeling was because I've done a lot of work to never feel guilty for choosing for me. So basically, what had happened is I love Hawaii, okay? I'll start off by telling you that. I absolutely love Hawaii. I've spent my entire life on the East Coast. I grew up in New Jersey. I've lived in New York City for a number of years now. And I've been to Hawaii 3 or 4 times in the last 10 years. And so I'm willing to hop on a 10.5-hour flight at any time. And I think I've been to Florida twice. And so nothing against Florida, but Hawaii is magical to me. The water is amazing. The earth is so nurturing, and I love it. So you really don't have to twist my arm to get me to go. And so I had a thought earlier this year of, we're going to go to Hawaii. And when I had that thought, I was like, oh, that would be so fun. Like, I literally teared up. I was like, oh, that would be so amazing. Didn't think much of it. I had a Bali trip that I was planning for, which was, something that was kind of on the bucket list. There were some other places that were more higher up on the list, but still was not going to turn down a trip to Bali. So I was getting ready for that and just let it go. And then an opportunity came through maybe 2 months ago, and I thought, oh, that would be really fun. And this opportunity was to go to Hawaii. I was like, that would be fun. I was like, well, I've got other stuff going on. So just a week or so ago, I was like, you know what? I'm still thinking about this. Let me see what's actually required to go. So I sent an email and got, the information. I sat down and looked at stuff on my end, and financially I could do it, and time-wise I could do it. So I was like, I'm going to Hawaii. And so, I've been watching flights for a while now. Just, it's always good to find a cheap flight because I love to travel, right? I used to, this is so messed up, but I used to, I went to college and got a degree in international business because I always dreamed of traveling. From the time I was a child, I wanted to see new places and experience new things. So I thought by getting a degree in international business, I would get hired by this company and they would fly me around the world and I could indulge myself in all these cultures and countries and food. And it didn't work out that way. So the company that I was at, I was there for a fair amount of time and had a fair amount of vacation time. So I literally worked every single day at a job that I hated in order to have time off to get away from it. And then I lived for that time away and whatever I would do, during that time. I started off traveling small trips, and then eventually they grew bigger and internationally and all this stuff. But I literally, so messed up. I literally hate it every single day of my life, right, at this company. Hate it sitting in a cubicle, hate it what I did, didn't feel fulfilled at all. The culture was not nourishing. And so I spent a majority of my time doing something I hated just to have a week or two that, because I was up to 2, to escape it. It's so messed up. So I've been crafting for the last 10 years or so, actually creating a life where I can travel. And I can travel when I want. And so there have been a number of trips this year. Every year it seems like I'm doing a little bit more, which is really exciting to me to be able to do that, because this is what I've dreamed of. This is what I've wanted for so long. And I'm finally in a place where I have it, right? And so, I've consciously done things. So this Hawaii trip comes up. I find out I can do it. I'm going to meet some friends later on that day. And, catching up. And, this was multiple people during a 2-day period where I would, they'd be like, oh, so what's going on? You going anywhere? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to Hawaii. And it was like, but you were just in Bali, right? Or, didn't you just get back from Detroit? And so my excitement actually turned into, I started feeling bad at first. Then I didn't want to tell anybody that I was taking this trip because I started feeling bad. And I didn't know that it was guilt until I talked to my guy because he had been away while all this transpired. And I just decided I was going to wait to tell him in person. And so when we sat down, I was like, I have to tell you something. And he's looking at my face and I'm like, he's like, just say it. I'm like, I'm going to Hawaii. And he stopped and he was like, what's the face about? I'm like, because I'm going to Hawaii. And he's like, don't ever feel guilty. Or he asked me, he's like, do you feel guilty? I'm like, yeah. I didn't identify that. I just felt bad, which is why I stopped telling people what I was doing. But it really was this guilt that I'm able to do this because I know that a lot of people live for one vacation a year, right? One big extravaganza where they go all out. And, so maybe they were a little bit like me where they worked at a job they hated just to have this time away that they could really escape the life that they were living on a daily basis, right? That was what I wanted to do. So I get the aspect of you do one big trip a year, and I had my trip to Bali, right? That was my big trip for 2019. So when he actually called me out and he was just like, don't ever feel guilty for doing something that you love because nobody is going to love you more than you love you. And it was such a potent reminder because I long ago decided that I was not going to wait for somebody to live my life, that I could be dead before I got people to agree to go along with what I wanted, right? Or to join me in something. And I was, I've had enough death in my life. My sister died at 32 to know that life is way too short for me to keep holding off until tomorrow, something that I love. And so, he was excited for me. And so now I'm excited and I don't care who knows that I'm going to Hawaii. And if you feel bad, that's not on me. If you have a life that you're not really enjoying and, you were like me, then maybe it's time to start making some changes because, I'm not an anomaly. And what I've created over the last 10 years is not some fluke. I've actually worked to have this and to have this dream of mine. So, how many of you out there are actually feeling guilty for choosing something that you love? Right? Because of what other people think. Now, I've been one, and I've shared this in past videos, that I had a really hard time fitting in. I, in high school, thought there was something fundamentally wrong with me, and that was why I couldn't have friends, and that's why I couldn't fit in. And, it took years and years of work and I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't an overnight change. It took years of work for me to acknowledge that, no, there was nothing and is nothing wrong with me. I'm fine, right? I didn't have friends, I didn't fit in. And, now I'm grateful that some of those things didn't work out, but there's still this need for me for this public acceptance of my choices. And so my feeling guilty because I can do this and other people can't, if I don't do it, to make other people happy, to get their approval, because then I'm living my life the way most people do, right? I'm living my life with that one big trip a year and I wait till next year to do the next one. And then they're happy, right? But am I really happy? Not really. Because let's say I don't go to Hawaii this year. Maybe, it doesn't happen, even though I had, I can and wanted to, and I choose not to because I want people to, I want to be like other people. I want to fit in. I want their approval of my lifestyle, right? So what ultimately will I gain? probably won't be spending that time with them. Maybe one night, right? So for the time that I would be in Hawaii, I might talk to some people, spend some time with them. They're not in my everyday reality here, right? The only person who really is my guy, because we live together. So for me, when I actually looked at it, like there is no benefit for me saying no, other than to get them to approve of now I'm living according to their terms. Because what I think happens, and at least for me, when I saw people doing things that I really wanted, I started getting jealous that they could and I couldn't, right? And on some level that I was not willing to acknowledge way back when, definitely am now, but way back when, I was actually not willing to acknowledge that the fact that these people were able to pursue their dreams, were able to live these lifestyles, meant that it could be possible for me. But instead, because I wasn't admitting that, I would try to cut them down. I would criticize them. I would make fun of them. I would sarcastically make comments about how they lived and how it wasn't real and how it was fake and how they probably, were in so much credit. All these assumptions, right? To make myself feel better because they were doing something that ultimately I wanted to do. I've grown enough to acknowledge that, that's such childish bullshit. That if there's somebody who, and I actually, I haven't even experienced this anymore, because now when I see people doing something I want, I'm like, I want to do that too. And I'll ask them, like, how did you get there? What did you do? What has life been like? What changes have you made, right? So that it can help me change my life. But for so long, I was stuck in the cutting them down to make myself feel better. And so, when you're in that kind of environment and you start to raise yourself up a bit, there was this feeling of guilt, at least for me, because now I'm stepping away from something that was into something else, and I'm leaving my friends behind, and that's what I thought anyway, right? I'm going to lose my friends, I'm going to be alone, and so is it worth having this? Maybe I should just, stay where I'm at because at least I'm happy. Well, actually I wasn't happy, but pretended to be happy, pretended to make the best of it is what I did, because I didn't think it would really get any better. I allowed the fear of the unknown keep me stuck where I was for way too long of my life. So I'm over that. I'm, thank God I have done work to change that, because none of it was true. It just kept me small, right? And it kept my dreams all the way out there, and I'm all the way over here just muddling through. And so, if you're feeling guilty about choices, and you're not hurting anybody, because I'm not talking about, you're stealing money from somebody and then you're feeling guilty about that. I'm talking about if you're choosing for you, if you're, choosing to go to Hawaii after you've already taken a trip to Bali, or if you're choosing to pursue a career in acting because you have an opportunity that shows up, and maybe there's a fellow actor that doesn't have it, and so you feel bad, and you want them to succeed too, so you're not going to do it, right? This insidious acceptance that we're all, I think, on some level trying to seek, right? To be part of a community, to fit in, right? To be liked. We don't want to upset people. And so for me, this feeling of guilt, it was like, all right, I'm going to make myself small for what? I'm going to say no to my dreams for what? What am I ultimately going to get? And I was just so thankful that I do have a partner, a relationship that I created after not being in a good one. But I do have a partner that is willing to call me out on that and be like, go, go have fun. You love this. I know how much you love this. I see how happy it makes you. I want you to do that. Those are the people that we should have in our lives. Those are the people, that root for us to be happy. And if somebody is not, and they're cutting you down, and now my friends, I know that they didn't mean anything bad. They were just speaking, because whether I go, when I go, I shouldn't say whether, but when I go, they're still going to talk to me. And if they don't, then I really don't want those kind of people in my life. I don't want the kind of people where they're going to judge me and they're only going to like me if I live within their realm of what they think my life should be like, because they're not the ones that have to go to bed every night with my dreams and wake up and look myself in the face every day. I'm the one that's doing that. And if I am not honoring that for myself, what's the point? What's the point of waking up every day to go to a job that I hate, to earn money, to barely scrape by, to live for 2 weeks off, to scrape and save for that time, to escape the reality that I have, right? That's not a life to me. That's not a happy life to me. That's an existence. And like I said, I existed for way too long, and I'm done. So again, spent the time the last 10 years creating something that is a life that I'm not escaping from, that is more than existence, something that fills me up, something that excites me. And so, if you're feeling guilty, there's a lot of different things to look at, right? Are you around supportive people in your life? And if you're not, then why are you with these people, right? Why do you have them in your life? If you're feeling guilty for choosing for you, have you actually made everybody else more important than yourself? What they think more important than what you need, what you desire? Right? These are all things to consider. And, it doesn't make us happy. And it actually doesn't really make them happy, right? Because this decision, right? Like, let's say I didn't go, and they might have been like, oh yeah, okay. See, my friends would probably just be like, oh, why not? You should go. But let's say that they were not a supportive group of people, right? Let's say that I had people in my life that really made me feel bad about this choice, that I decided to say no to make them happy, because that has happened in my past. Ultimately, they weren't happy. It was a fleeting moment of like, okay, good, you listened to me. That control, right? They controlled me. I listened, I did what they wanted. Now they're moving on to something else, because ultimately they're still not satisfied. Even controlling all these external circumstances that they really can't control, it's not giving them that deep-seated contentment, that happiness that we really truly crave. It's just an illusion, right? And those fleeting moments where it's like, oh, thank God you didn't do that, I'm so happy, it's gone within 30 seconds or 5 minutes, and you're on to something else that's wrong. And so I've been there. That's why I can say that. So if you're feeling guilty, again, look at the people around you. Are they people who truly support you? Are they people who truly have your back and want the best for you and want you to be happy no matter what? Because if they're not, it might be time to upgrade your friends. And maybe, in my case, a lot of the people that I had known, they grew with me. The less that I cared about them, and I was like, I'm doing this anyway, whether you're in my life or not, they were still around, right? It was my perception of things that kept me small. My perception of what they thought. My perception of what I thought they would think, right? If that makes sense. That kept me small rather than what they actually thought and wanted to share. So, take a look at that, because it might be all in your mind and not in reality. They might really want you to make a different choice, and they might fully support you in that, but we have to be courageous enough to actually take that step, to actually take that action, and to actually make that choice to have that without letting the guilt rule us, without letting the shame and the anxiety and the worry keep us small, because that is not fulfilling. It's a distraction. So, take a look at that. And, if it's been so long, you've been in existence mode for a long time that you don't even know what you want, start asking that. Like, what's something that I really want to do? What's something that I've always dreamed of? What's something that I always think would be fun? And find a way to do that, right? And those are 2 small steps that we can take to actually start creating something different for ourselves. And if you want to delve into this on a more in-depth basis, I do have a program available, my Relationships Reimagined program, where I work through this with people over a period of 8 weeks to get them where they want to be, to create these relationships that actually support them and nourish them and push them to be better, instead of cutting down, making small, criticizing, and all the not so good aspects of life that just distract us. So if you want to know more about that, you can shoot me an email at victoria@victorialongo.net. Otherwise, I thank you for watching this video. Please, if you have not, subscribe to my channel. You'll get notified when new videos are released. If you like this video, please like this video and share with your friends. And I hope you all have an amazing weekend. And next week, I'm actually going to be talking about anxiety and anxious thoughts in particular. Right? So if you are somebody who gets anxious a lot, you may want to tune in. So have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you next week.